Hello and welcome back to another week of Sambo iRacing. We are, of course, back in the Ligier JS P320, the LMP3 at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. Now, if you're going to run this in the Open Falcon series and you want to race the exact setup being driven by Gianni Lutzu around this track guide, or you want to drive any of the variants, Speed A, Endurance, Quali, or any of the wet versions of those, you can do so by visiting our website, sambosetups.com, or you can visit our Patreon page. There are links to both in the description. There's also a link to Gianni's coaching website, lutzudriverperformance.com. If you want to improve your own skills, check him out. He's well worth it. As always, let's start the hot lap. Right, looking for our entry into turn one, which is between the 2 and the 1. On the brakes quite hard, down to second gear, little blip of gas. On the brakes again, down to first, trying to huck it over to the right-hand side at the apex. Now we're going to move over to the left-hand side. And again, we're going to be braking just after the 2, just before the 1, and again, sharply onto the gas in third, flat through the second apex, and just a tiny little lift to avoid the wall. Now we're going to stay over to the right-hand side. Going to use that orange thing on the left-hand side that we just went past. I'll show you in the breakdown. Smoothly back on the gas in second. If you do it right and you've got warm tyres, you can go absolutely flat out through there. It is always the trade-off about downforce against straight-line speed. Gilles Villeneuve on the brakes at the 2 marker, flat out through the third, little lift, and now we're moving over to the left hand side. Tricky hairpin. We're going to go just before the 2 marker on the left hand side, initially up to about 75%, classic trail off down to first gear. That is gorgeous, looking at that telemetry graph. Now we're just going to try and shorten the track. We're going to hug it over to the right-hand side as we get to this little apexy wall bit coming out here. Don't hit that. I've ruined many a lap doing so. Now we're going to slowly move over to the left-hand side as we come up to the final chicane and the wall of champions on the gas, on the brake, sorry, just before the 2. Back on the gas in third, little lift, exit nice and wide, misses the wall of champions. What a legend. And over and across the line we go in a 1:31 flat. Breakdown lap coming up next. Right, breakdown lap. So the first braking zone, you can see the 2 and the 1 markers on the right-hand side. And we're going to go as soon as the 2 has disappeared and before we get to the 1, and initially up to about 65%, and that is just anchoring straight up to that point. We're going to start turning in once we're midway along that last grass patch. Short trail off, and we start picking back up on the gas at the apex. We don't get up to 100%, only up to, not even 40% there before he gets back on the brakes, up to about 45%, drops it down to first, and then tries to hug it as tight over to the right side as possible. Now, as you can see, he's over at about 100 degrees of left hand down, right hand down, left hand lock. Now, as we come into the first, or the second chicane, if that was already the first one, we're going to go just after the 2, midway between the 2 and the 1, as you can see here. And again, hits almost up to 60% straight away, drops it down to third, starts picking back up on the gas, having cut the corner, but keeping his left-hand tyres on the track. He goes absolutely flat ahead of the second apex here, but he does just do a little lift, so he doesn't hit that wall on exit. He's got a sixth sense about these things. Right, our next braking zone is midway between these 2 orange flashes on the left-hand side Armco that you can see there. As you can see, halfway between the 2, reaches 75%, drops it down to second, and then back on the gas at the apex, and then absolutely flat through the second apex again, using all the track and cutting the corner. Right, as we come into turn 8, we're going to start braking just before the 2 marker on the left hand side, as you can see there, and again he reaches a critical braking point of about 75%, drops it all the way down to third, starts picking back up on the gas at the apex, goes almost flat before the second apex before doing just a tiny little lift, and then back on the gas. Now we're going to come up to the hairpin, and he's going to get on the brakes just at this 2 marker on the left-hand side. You can just see it behind the windscreen wiper. And again, goes straight up to 75%, but just trails it off beautifully. And then starts picking back up on the gas at the apex. In case you're wondering, if you're a regular watcher of these guides and you're thinking, Sam normally does the LMP3, why is Gianni doing it? Well, I could not beat 131.5. So I called Gianni and said, can you do the lap for me, because I'm crap. So if you are looking for a time to beat, 1:31.5 would be mine. Right, we're going to start braking midway between the 3 and the 2 into the final chicane, and initially hits 80%, but trails it off down to third, starts picking back up at the first apex, almost flat before he gets to the second, does a tiny little lift, and then starts getting back on the gas, so he reaches 100% just when he knows he's going to miss that wall. Oh my god, that was close though. And that is the breakdown lap of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve at Montreal in the Ligier JS P320 LMP3. Right, one final version coming up next with the driving line on, and you'll be pleased to know I won't be talking through it.